Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Cinetroverts. This episode is brought to you by new parents. That is me and Tabitha, a new parents with a new son, Dominic. Welcome to the club, Dominic. Hello, guys. We have to clap quietly. He's sleeping right now.
Yes.
So we're going to be a little quieter than normal, but this is temporary. Anyway, this is our first episode back. And, we've had a really insane last 3 weeks since we've recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some scares, some ups and downs, some excitement, some tears, a lot of laughs. But things have finally, I believe, settled down.
We hope so.
We hope so.
We hope the worst of our troubles with him is behind us.
Yeah, I mean, it was never anything serious.
No.
So,
but when you don't even have a week-old baby and
doctors are
saying you have to take him to a hospital,
yeah.
You get a little freaked out.
Yeah, it was.
But everything's pretty good right now.
And we're moving.
We're moving.
We're making a big move.
Mm-hmm. 2 doors down.
2 doors down.
That's right. We need a 2-bedroom now that we have a third person in the house.
We'll be able to make room for our new recording area. We're planning on upgrading the show with new software and a microphone and some audio equipment. We're finally going to make our move to iTunes. So the show will be moving as well. I mean, and we may still do YouTube. I'm not sure. But we definitely want to expand our audience and get some better quality. And, without further ado, let's go ahead and just kick off our show. So we've mentioned it before in the past, but I'm a major fan of Silence of the Lambs. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. In turn, Dr. Hannibal Lecter is probably my favorite villain of all time, at least in the horror genre. Joker is a strong second. But I watched the show Hannibal when it was on. I remember being really against the show, thinking, this is stupid. Why would you do that? Hannibal Rising sucked ass. Why would you make a Hannibal TV series?
That movie must have sucked so hard. I legitimately do not remember it coming out.
I remember going to movie theaters and seeing it and just not being impressed. But to each his own. But anyway, when the show had come out, I was like, all right, I'm going to give the pilot a shot, and then maybe if it's good, maybe I'll watch. But I highly doubt it's going to be good. It's on NBC. I mean,
which is a fair point.
Which is
honestly,
on network.
yeah.
Not saying NBC puts out shit sometimes, but
they kind of do.
But it's just kind of like, well, I mean, let's see if the show's any good for network television, even, because I can't imagine it being that violent. Boy, they pushed the envelope of that show. It is beyond graphically gory and violent and beautiful too. The pilot, the first 30 seconds, I was hooked. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing.
You really stick to your convictions,
yeah,
baby.
I mean, I was wet.
Oh my god.
With tears of joy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we're going to go back from it. So basically, just to kind of get into our topic, we're going to talk about the TV series Hannibal a little bit and its connection to the film Red Dragon, as well as the original adaptation of Red Dragon done by Michael Mann. I'm talking about Manhunter.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I want to talk about the book. You've never read the book.
I have not.
Okay, so I read the book way back when I first heard they were making a Red Dragon movie. This was late 90s, early 2000s. I think the movie came out in 2002. So when I first heard they were going to make a Red Dragon movie, it was after Hannibal had come out. And they said, we're going to just go back to the well. Let's remake Red Dragon, which had been Manhunter, which I hadn't seen Manhunter yet. But I wanted to read the book. I was fascinated. So I did read the book, and the book freaked me out. The book definitely. I mean, it really is in depth with the Will Graham character, who is an FBI profiler, who has this ability to just like read crime scenes and see how the crimes actually happened. He's not psychic, but he's like borderline. At one point, Hannibal calls him an eye detector, which is not exactly psychic, but just someone who's like obviously like more than observant.
He's
and
he
picks up on it.
Yeah, he's described as like super empathetic on the show, and that lets him see, what a killer would be thinking.
Yeah, it's really insane, and it's creepy because he talks to himself and he gets visions and stuff, and it's just really fascinating. And of course, after the books had come out back then in the 80s, they obviously adapted Red Dragon into a film, co-written and directed by Michael Mann, which is interesting because you have William Peterson, he of CSI fame, playing Will Graham, FBI profiler. You have Brian Cox, Sir Brian Cox, playing Hannibal Lecter.
I love Brian Cox.
The first time Hannibal Lecter was ever on screen was not Anthony Hopkins, it was indeed Brian Cox, which is fascinating. And then you have Jack Crawford, played by Dennis Farina, which is like, really? Because he does a lot of comedy. So it's kind of funny seeing Dennis Farina playing the head of the FBI Behavioral Sciences Division, you know. And then Francis Dollarhide, the great Tom Noonan, man. Tom Noonan, he who is Kane in RoboCop 2. You know, like Tom Noonan is like an amazing genre actor. He's in so many films. My favorite, though, is probably, I'd probably got to say his bit part in, well, I mean, no, it's not my favorite role, but my favorite role of his is probably Kane in RoboCop 2, but he's got bit parts in more recent genre films like House of the Devil.
Who was he in House of the Devil?
House of the Devil, he is the gentleman that hires Jocelyn Donahue's character for the babysitter.
Oh, okay.
But it turns out she's not babysitting, it's like the grandma.
The super weird guy who she should have immediately ran from.
And you see how tall he is. He's super tall.
Really
he's
tall,
well over 6 feet. So he had that towering presence in in Manhunter, and he is creepy too. He was able to bring that creepy vibe to the character of Francis Dollarhide, aka the Tooth Fairy, aka Red Dragon,
aka too many names,
aka too many names, but he's pretty great. So all that put together, it makes for an interesting movie. Now it does steer away from the book a little bit.
Manhunter.
Yeah, it does steer away from the book. It's super 80s.
Well, I mean, most adaptations stray at least a little.
Yeah, it does. But there are a lot of things they kept. And you're going to see, what we're going to talk about, are the similarities between the Hannibal series as well as the Red Dragon 2002 film directed by Brett Ratner.
For some reason.
For some reason. So we're going to talk about all these today. No, you liked Manhunter, right? You dug it?
I like Manhunter, yeah.
So, I mean, like it really focuses on the Will Graham. I mean, all of the stories focus on Will Graham. Hannibal, a little bit more on Lecter, but yeah, Manhunter is solely like a Will Graham movie. He's the Manhunter, you know. So they spend the majority of time.
The title refers to him in this case instead of
the Red Dragon, right? Instead of Francis Dollarhide. So it's all about him, his methods, his way of like investigating. You know, he puts a lot of stuff together, you know. It does follow a lot of the beats of, like, you know, him getting pulled back into the FBI after catching Hannibal Lecter, who nearly kills him. You don't know what really happens, but at some point, apparently Hannibal stabbed him in his abdomen and left him a good scar.
A lot.
Yeah, and then and then left him a major scar, and both, like, literally and, you know, metaphorically.
Yes.
So he, like, quits the FBI, and he moves with his wife Molly and his son, whose name changes in every adaptation. As far as I remember, the book, his name is Josh.
Okay.
But
in Manhunter, it's Kevin, I believe, and in Hannibal, it's Walter.
Yeah. So name changed, but the wife is always Molly.
I know, it's just odd to me. So his son, what's his name?
Yes. So his son.
Yeah.
His father's son.
Graham Jr.
Yeah. He's his father's son. So they moved down to the Florida Keys, and they're, you know, down. Will is down there, working on boat motors, fixing boats, and just fishing, and just living a quiet life, you know. And Jack Crawford, you know, his former boss, head of Behavioral Sciences Division over at the FBI, Quantico, comes down to him and says, "Will, we got a problem. We got this killer. You know, we call him the Tooth Fairy. He kills in full moon cycles, kills whole families."
He's a werewolf.
I was just thinking, like, they think he's a werewolf. You know, he kills when the moon is full. You know, he breaks all the mirrors in his houses, and, you know, mainly focuses on the mother or the female victim, and, you know, breaks mirrors, inserts pieces of mirror into the eye sockets so he can, like, watch himself. That's all they really got. So Will is pulled back into this, and has to, you know, go through the motions of his investigation, has to open up that part of his mind again, and eventually, you know, needs help, because he used to get help catching these killers by a forensic psychologist, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, who is later to be revealed Hannibal the Cannibal, dubbed by the media. So Hannibal is, Will catches him and everything, so there's that history. So now Will needs to go to him for help, which is not something he wants to do, but he goes to do it. Then, Hannibal profiles.
In Manhunter, a very white room. Not at all like the dungeon setting that we're used to in these movies.
Yeah, so in Silence of the Lambs, it's very cinematic with like the dungeon lair, with the glass and everything, and the long hallway of dread. And you do that walk of fear down to the Hannibal cell. In Manhunter, it's just a private room with a cell with bars.
It looks more like a psychiatric room.
It looks more. Yeah,
except there's bars.
It looks like a jailhouse, and just white bars, white room, white everything. Even Dr. Hannibal Lecter is wearing white.
Yeah.
White jumpsuit, white T-shirt. And Brian Cox, he's got that same look that Anthony Hopkins has, which is like these clean-cut, clean-shaven, slick-back hair, and his stare, like where he lowers his jaw, looks straight forward, hardly blinks. He doesn't have those pauses that Anthony Hopkins does, like in his delivery, but he is just as lethal and just as dangerous, but just not as cinematic or as charismatic.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, but nothing...
Not as theatrical.
Nothing wrong with Brian Cox's performance. I mean, it's just tame compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and he's just deadly and creepy and, that's it. But, Hannibal's like, hello, Clarice. Even though, apparently, that's, what's that called? What's that syndrome called? Where people remember something that didn't really happen.
Right.
What's that called again?
I forget, but I know what you're talking about. Like, beam me up, Scotty.
What's the
never
guy?
said.
Invictus. What's the guy? Mandela syndrome.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Mandela effect.
Okay.
Mandela effect. Yeah, so people's like, hello, Clarice. Yeah, technically Hannibal never says hello, Clarice. He does in the movie Hannibal, but not in Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, he does say.
Yeah, that's a Mandela
He says
thing.
stuff like that though, like you say quid pro quo, Clarice.
Quid pro quo, Clarice.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo.
You can see why you would think that he probably said that at some
People
point.
say like, oh, the very first line he gets to say to Clarice is hello, Clarice. I'm like, well, no, because he's never met her.
It's a good point. I don't remember the first line he says to her, but that's
good morning.
A good point. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
of course you remember that.
Well, it's like my number in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
It's
so
a great
of course
movie.
I'll know that. But anyway, so that's where the book and the movie have in common up to that point. Then it starts steering off. Goes in different directions. The one thing that is in common with the show Hannibal and the movie Red Dragon and Manhunter is the character Freddie Lounds. Freddie Lounds is a reporter for a newspaper called The Tatler. Tatler covers like crime stories and all that stuff. Did huge stories on the capture of Hannibal Lecter. Freddie Lounds is kind of like a snake of a reporter. Like he's just a piece.
Sleazy.
He's a real douche.
Like paparazzi of crime journalism.
Yeah, pretty much. He's definitely paparazzi of crime dramas. Like if he was on the O.J. case, he would have been all up on like Shapiro and like I don't know, all into that kind of stuff. So pretty much, what ends up happening is Freddie Lounds does tamper with, I don't know, I guess he pretends to be an FBI agent at one point, uses a fake ID to try to get evidence and gain access to files. So in Red Dragon, both the movie and the book, pretty much almost every adaptation, they use Freddie Lounds to plant a story about the Tooth Fairy, or about Francis Dolarhyde. They don't know it's Francis Dolarhyde yet, but about the Tooth Fairy / Red Dragon. Basically, just to kind of like, provoke him. So it's funny, is in the original, in Manhunter, the character is actually played by Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang, you'll know, most cinephiles will know Stephen Lang as Ike. Ike from Tombstone. Ike Clayton from Tombstone.
What? Please don't kill me.
There ain't no law around here, loud dog. Yeah, he's pretty great. And then he takes a turn as like the villain from Avatar, the Colonel from Avatar.
He got scary looking. He beefed up.
Yeah, he did beef up. And then what's crazy is he played. You'll remember from last year's horror film, Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
He's the blind guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played like the wimpy Freddie Lounds in Manhunter.
Played by scary blind Stephen Lang.
Yeah. And he's really great. In the film Red Dragon, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman. who is great. He's not in the movie very much, but his performance is really great.
Yeah, it is.
So, in the story, as the story goes, Freddie Lounds is, that Will Graham and Jack Crawford used this basically story for Freddie Lounds to write on the Tatler, like basically making fun of the Tooth Fairy, calling him. Will Graham says he's impotent with females and molests his male victims, and he's a bottom-feeding lowlife.
And apparently, in the film, they just legitimately did not anticipate that he would go after Freddie Lounds for this.
They expected him to go after Will Graham because Will Graham would pose for a picture for the article. In an obvious place.
In the show, it's not Freddie Lounds; it's Dr. Chilton.
Yeah.
But I feel like they probably knew that might happen, and Will just didn't care at that point.
Right.
Because Will's pretty far gone at this point.
Yeah, Will just dives hardcore into it, and
yeah, I feel like he just didn't care if Chilton got caught in the crossfire or not.
Yeah, what's insane is I guess the fact that just these three performances are so different for Freddie Lounds. You have Philip Seymour Hoffman playing the character in Red Dragon. So it's just like really, really intriguing. Like just the levels of depth he goes with it, because I mean it's not much of a role. He's just like kind of annoying. Mm-hmm. But then at one point in all the stories, all three. Well, with the exception of, like I said, we're swapping out Freddie Lounds for Dr. Chilton in the Hannibal series. But the Tatler article obviously does what it's supposed to do, which is piss off the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
And he ends up capturing Freddie Lounds. And, making him spread his message and, using him as a victim and, torturing him a little bit.
Yeah.
So it happens pretty much the same in all the stories, like I said, except with the exception of Manhunter, where we make it Dr. Chilton. Now in Manhunter, this is the first time you really see the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. He's got that netting over half his face.
Yeah, and he's really gives a really creepy, haunting performance.
Yeah, and like you said, he's so tall.
Oh yeah.
And then since he's got Freddie Lounds glued to this wheelchair, basically, he's even more imposing looking. And the lighting in that scene I really like the lighting in it too.
So I want to just kind of briefly talk about all three of those scenes, because it's done three different ways. Well, the same way, different interpretations. There are three different interpretations of having Freddie Lounds. Again, with Hannibal, it's Dr. Chilton. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so
I
basically,
actually managed to feel sorry for him in that scene too.
Yeah.
You didn't. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, the character again is how do I say it? I mean, he's interpreted the same way as just being, tall, wide-shouldered, just really creepy and just really intense. And you don't know. I mean, you kind of know what he's all about, but you don't. This is a real explanation of who he is and what he is. Mm-hmm. So when we are able to get this is how we really get to know who he is, because we see glimpses of him otherwise in the book or whatnot, but this is, you see him saying, I'm becoming something more than a man. He abducts Stephen Lang, and they're all abducted the same way for the most part, which is they're going to their car. Freddie Lounds is going to his car, and then he gets abducted while going to his car. Mm-hmm. It's so basically
parking garages, man. You've got to be ever vigilant while in them.
Yeah, never park next to a van and never approach a van.
Never approach a van, ever.
Because in Red Dragon, it's he took his Freddie Lounds parking spots. Philip Seymour Hoffman's like, you see your name on the sign, you just reach out the window and just grab something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just don't approach him, Mr. His panel van.
Right. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Get in your car. Make sure your car's empty. Drive away.
So basically, they're all held. While
he goes into his spiel.
Yeah, he goes to spiel about how he's a dragon and whatnot. Now here's what's different. In Red Dragon and Manhunter, Francis Eller Hyde records them on a cassette tape, reading his message. It's exact wording. He writes it out for them. says, say this, like, well, Graham, I know you made me lie. The red dragon has been will be merciful to me than you.
Mm-hmm.
This, that, and the other. So I was like, oh, shit.
But you wonder what he was going to do to Will, ultimately, because that's pretty unmerciful what he does to him.
I think so. But what ends up happening is, after the message, he's like, there's one more way I can help you understand. And in the book, and in Manhunter, and in Red Dragon, Francis Ellerhide bites Freddie Lounds' lips off. Or one of his lips off, his lower lip. He bites into it and rips it off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then, after that, he leaves them to that, strapped down to that wheelchair, glued to that wheelchair, sets it on fire, and just sends it down a parking garage driveway.
Yeah.
Now, in Hannibal, the series...
Yeah, Dr. Chilton is like a cockroach. He cannot be killed.
Yeah, because he had near-death experiences a couple times before that.
Yes.
But in this, same thing, he bites both of his lips off, and sets him on fire, and, sends him... down to a location where
conveniently placed fountain lies.
Yeah, exactly, where the chair dips into a water fountain.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I think Francis Ellerhide keeps Hannibal's lips. So in the past, in all the
Not
versions,
Hannibal's lips.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
That's okay. Chilton / Freddy's lips.
Chilton's lips. He mails them to Hannibal. And I guess due to law or whatever, or just whatever his plea deal was with his lawyer, they can't open Hannibal's mail. They X-ray it, but they can't open it or anything.
Yeah.
There's obviously no bombs, no threat, so they give it to him, and it's wrapped. The letter, so it's wrapped, and it's 2 lips, and they're like, well, there's 2 lips, and then
by the time the FBI gets there,
by the time the FBI gets there,
just one lip.
Just one lip, and what happened to the other one? It just cuts to a quick flash of Hannibal. We're just kind of sucking
really
him in.
Funny.
We're joined by we're in the middle of the show. We're joined by a special guest. We have Dominic here with us. Our son. We're trying to keep him.
You may hear
some cooing.
His little noises as he voices his opinion on the subject. He has a lot of thoughts on that.
Now on the show, Freddie Lounds is played by a woman named Laura Jean Korostecki.
Mm-hmm. And the character is just the worst.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's really hot. She's like fiery redhead with curly hair. And
is she now?
I'm sorry. No, but she's she's a female. Freddie Lounds is a female, and she's still a snaky reporter, and she just does the most vile shit.
She does.
On the show throughout.
While somehow pretending she has a moral high ground.
Yeah.
Which is the most annoying thing about her.
Yeah. It's just, it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
But
just acting like she doesn't do anything wrong ever. It's just annoying to me.
Yeah. And she, you may have seen her on the more recent ABC drama with Kiefer Sutherland, Designated Survivor. She's the McLeish's wife on the show, so she's like a little villain in that too. I don't know, she always seems to play snake roles.
Or you may have seen her as the wife in the wrestling vigilante pastor movie.
What's it called again?
I can't remember what it's called, but
oh, good.
I promise you it sounds funnier than it is.
It was on Netflix. I remember you were obsessed with watching it. Something about it sounded like Nacho Libre. It's about a pastor that's a wrestler.
Yes,
and a vigilante.
Pretty much, yeah, because he goes to this town and this church. It's all run down, and he goes out and just kind of wrestles bad people, I guess.
He wrestles bad people?
It sounds funnier than it was, but she's not a bad guy in that.
The Masked Saint?
The Masked Saint, yeah.
Okay. Just put up her IMDb real quick to double check.
Yeah, But man, when I first saw that trailer, I'm like, wow, that's amazing right there.
Yeah. But
yeah, I hate Freddie Lounds.
Yeah, Freddie Lounds is just a piece of shit character, but it was just interesting.
And they let her live in the series.
Yeah.
And I resent that.
Well, what's funny is the show, and I talked about the show before when we did our episode on movies becoming TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
They jump around quite a bit, and I talk about it there, so I'm not going to divulge as much here, but the Hannibal series, it uses a lot of Red Dragon, but then it takes quite a bit from the Hannibal, the third book or the third movie, which is about Hannibal, like, escaping and getting into Italy.
Yeah.
And it jumps around quite a bit. So Freddie Lounds, they utilize her in a lot of different ways. I mean, they have her as a background character, but she becomes pretty integral in parts of the story. But I mean, it jumps around quite a bit.
Yeah, I was really not a fan of the Italy Hannibal backstory subplot in the first half of season 3.
So, I mean, I guess he just did it to fill the season because I guess the Red Dragon saga couldn't take up a whole season unless they really dragged it out. And I thought the Red Dragon saga, the last 5 episodes of the Hannibal series, were extremely well done.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I think it was the best adaptation of the material. So, I did post on our Cinetroverts page, and I reposted it as well, if you like Manhunter or Red Dragon more. And a lot of people said they like Manhunter more. And a lot of people, one person in particular, Andrew Garcia, who I'm not sure if he listens to the show, but he did definitely comment on this, who is my bestie, Paul, is his brother. He said that he said both had good parts, both had bad parts, but the last few episodes of Hannibal probably are for the win, And I got to kind of agree in terms of presentation. I thought it was just so well done. The problem with Red Dragon, and we actually watched Red Dragon last night just to kind of fresh up, because we just finished watching the series this week after watching it for the last couple months, broken up.
Yeah.
We watched Hannibal, then and we're talking about it, and my whole feeling was I do like the Red Dragon movie.
I like it.
The problem with it is it's got a great cast, it's got a solid script, it's weak. The directing is weak. Like, what I mean by that is it's like, I mean, obviously it's watchable, it's serviceable, but the problem is it's got no style. It's very generic.
Yeah, like, it's competently made, it's just not, but yeah, like you said, it's just generic. There's nothing that kind of sets it apart.
Yeah, and who would be awesome if they would have directed it?
I suggested David Fincher.
Oh, imagine David Fincher directing Red Dragon.
I think it would have been something special if he had made it.
Yeah.
And I just cannot fathom the logic of going to Brett Ratner.
Well, I guess because my thing is I'm pretty sure he was under contract with Universal because he had just directed the Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay.
Which was a hit.
Okay.
And it's like, well, we need a studio movie. We need a studio director. Brett Ratner.
But a thriller?
Well, apparently he's a Hitchcock fan, and I guess him and Ted Talley got along to write her, and
Fair
I guess
enough.
he knows how to brown nose really well, so I guess he wooed Gino and Martha De Laurentiis, the producers of all the original films of Manhunter, Sons of the Lambs, and Hannibal. I guess he, brown nosed enough to like, oh, well, yeah, let this guy do it. And like I said, I mean, yeah, you're right, it's competently made, it's well made. It's just but it's generic. There's no style.
Yeah.
To what it could have been.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
And I think he even says there's a behind the scenes documentary where they're talking to him. He's like, well, this is a great script. If I just follow the script, I'll make a good movie, which he did.
Yes, that's true.
But he did not make it his own. That was a problem. Silence of the Lambs is obviously an amazing screenplay, but it's got style. It's got a very great tone to it that is just.
Yeah.
Hard to replicate. That is Jonathan Demme's tone. No one else could have made that movie like Jonathan Demme did.
Yeah, I agree.
Rest in peace. Same thing with like Hannibal. I mean, Hannibal isn't the greatest screenplay probably. I mean, I like Hannibal the movie, but Ridley Scott did a great job directing it. It's got a beautiful visual style to it and a graphic style that is just kind of hard to replicate. That only he could have done. So, I mean. When you get someone like Brett Ratner who's known for making the Rush Hour movies, I mean, at first you got to give him the benefit of the doubt because no one thought Jonathan Demme could have directed Silence of the Lambs. The guy did Married to the Mob and Something Wild.
That's true.
It's like, how would this guy do it? And then what? You got the guy that directed Naked Gun directing Ghost.
That's also true.
It's like you can't do that. But then look what they did, and it's pretty amazing.
That's true.
Yeah. So I guess that's why they took. I guess that's why they took the chance on him. But I just don't think.
I think
that it was just masterfully. It could have been directed better.
Like I told you, I think Manhunter is a better film, but I don't know. I probably enjoy.
Script's a little weak.
Yeah, I probably enjoy Red Dragon a little bit more.
See, there are bits and pieces of everything.
Manhunter drags in places.
Yeah. There are bits and pieces of each film or the episodes that lacked in something.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The one thing I think that Red Dragon really, really got right, I mean, they got a lot of things decently correct, but the one thing that I love the most about Red Dragon are those crime scenes. The production design on those crime scenes is fucking phenomenal and fascinating. And the makeup effect, the practical effects of putting the mirror in the eyes.
That was pretty graphic.
It's really graphic,
that was
and
good.
it's amazing looking.
Yeah.
In the show, in the Hannibal series, I guess because, again, it's on TV, all they do is he just puts pieces of broken mirror over their eyes.
I know, which I'm like, that's your line? You had people splayed with wings made out of their back skin in the first season?
and like, you
that
know,
human
totem pole?
Yeah. The guy with mushrooms and stuff growing out of him. And...
But God forbid we put mirror in someone's eyes.
Apparently.
That's just where we draw the line.
Yeah.
What was your favorite... I'm going to steer to the left for a second. What was your favorite episode of the series? And you've seen it all now, so what was your favorite episode? Yeah.
It's probably something from season 2. I really like, especially the back half of season 2. I really enjoyed that. It might be the season 2 finale. That was so charged, and that finale, that finale where they all confront him, that was so intense.
Yeah. Oh, the way season 2 opens with Jack Crawford and Hannibal fighting,
and it pays off all these. The three relationships that he's kind of built throughout the seasons with these 3 different characters, and the reveal of another character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably go with that one off the top of my head.
Well, my favorite episode by far is season 2, episode 9. What's it pronounced? Shazanka.
Which one was that?
That is the one where a guy builds a mechanical suit.
Oh yeah, you love that one.
And uses, like, pretends he's like a predator and like hunts people. That is awesome. Straight out of a horror movie, man. Like, that's one thing I love about the show. It's like a serial killer of the week show, and
well, for the first couple seasons, in season 3, it's just...
it really drops that whole thing.
Yeah, and
but
I have a
but
question.
I love that procedural drama aspect of it. Yes.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, the first 2 seasons really felt like they were moving.
Yeah.
Season 3 felt kind of like it stopped in the first half.
Yeah.
But no, not to veer off topic, but why did Jack have so much trouble fighting Hannibal in season 2? But he kicked his ass pretty easily and thoroughly in season 3.
Well, I think that's a good question. I think mainly because in season 2 he was prepared.
Oh, Hannibal, that's true.
He was. He had a warning. Yeah. Will warned him that, they know Jack Crawford came for him, ready to kill him. Yeah. So he knew, he was ready, and he had knives and stuff around him.
Yeah,
he was ready to go. In season 3, when Jack shows up in Italy, it's unexpected.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think he just kind of comes out of nowhere and just, like, sucker punches him.
Yeah, because Hannibal doesn't even get, like, a hit in.
No, he doesn't get the drop on it, and he, like, and he's got fury behind him this time.
That's true.
He already was pissed off in season 2, but season 3, good lord.
Yeah.
Like, his wife is gone, he's got nothing left.
He's super mad now.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
He almost did.
Take the red pill. Stop trying to hit. Every time he says, "Stop trying to hit me and hit me."
That was Jack's finest moment, by the way, in season 3.
Kicking that shit out of Hannibal.
Yeah, because normally Jack is, like, frustratingly dense.
Yeah,
and so is Alana.
It's true. We'll talk about Jack Crawford in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I want to talk about those crime scenes. I'm just so fascinated by that sequence in all 3. Manhunter's very bland in the way that shot of Will Graham walking into the lead's house and, like, looking around and kind of putting together how the murder happened. Red Dragon has a slightly more going on with it visually. Pretty neat. There's a really great sting where the music is really low and Will walks in the dark, and all of a sudden he flips a light on, then you hear the strings of the violins peak really loud, and you see, like, the blood and the massacre that was in that bedroom. Really well done. That was a great moment, and I thought that sequence was extremely well done. So I'm going to give Dante Spinotti a little bit of the credit for that, who ironically was the DP on both Manhunter and Red Dragon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's got that scene. It's obviously they're differently shot, but he's done it before, so he kind of like, I know what I do. I know what to do better now. And Hannibal, the series, I love. It is far superior what they do. Will Graham goes into the house. Kind of, you're familiar with this process now with how he sees things. So he goes to the house, he's walking around in the dark, and he moves a flashlight around. Every time he moves his flashlight around, you'll see like a body.
Just illuminated in the light.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then when he moves it, it's gone.
When he moves the flashlight, it's gone. Like where the chalk outlines are, you suddenly see like the body, then it's gone, and it's just really cool. What I love most about Hannibal is Will Graham's, the way his mind works. So the very first episode in the pilot, it shows you Will Graham's his method of putting everything together. It shows how his mind works. Mm-hmm. He'll be in a crime scene. There's like this pendulum that just swings across a screen.
Yeah.
He just like swings side to side, and you'll see the crime scene. You'll see the dead body and blood everywhere. The pendulum across, the blood's gone. Pendulum across again, the cops are gone. Pendulum across again, the body's gone, and everything's normal. You'll see him walk in reverse. They shoot it in reverse, where or they play it back in reverse, where he's like walking out of the house, and then assuming the identity of the killer, he walks in the house and you see him. It's like, I take my gun and I shoot this woman in the chest, and
I do this, I do that.
I stop the alarm, this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's fascinating to watch. It's so incredible. So that's what hooked me. That's how the pilot begins for Hannibal. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So after watching Will Graham work, when it gets to that point in Red Dragon, he hasn't done it in a long time. In the Red Dragon saga, he said, he retired, he quit. It's been a few years. He doesn't do it anymore. He's not a profiler, but they make him. Jack Crawford makes him turn it back on to catch the Tooth Fairy. So when you see how his method works, it's like, oh, here we go, and it's just done so masterfully well. And a lot of that credit has to go to David Slade, who directed the pilot for Hannibal. David Slade directed Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night.
Okay. So I haven't seen Hard Candy.
Hard Candy is really
I hear good things.
It's an intimate little thriller that's pretty awesome. But he's got a really distinctive, amazing directing style. He directed the pilot for Hannibal and a few other episodes. So you got to give a lot of credit to him, because he established the look and the feel of the show, and it is phenomenal. I love that aspect. Like I said, I guess it's just there are bits and pieces you can choose where everything is better. I mean, I kind of dig the tone of Manhunter, because it's very raw. You know? That's what I like about it.
It feels a lot more threatening in Manhunter.
Yeah, exactly. Francis Dollarhide is extremely terrifying.
Yeah, Red Dragon feels relatively safe.
Ray Fiennes, whatever, I don't know where you say his name. I mean, he is not who I would have envisioned as Francis Dollarhide. Because he's described in the book as being like almost a bodybuilder, like being extremely well built, huge broad shoulders, well over 6 foot something, like big guy,
Yeah.
threatening, imposing, intimidating. Ray Fiennes is like not very built, and he doesn't look like he's that tall, and I don't know, just something about it just isn't as threatening. I mean, he's getting a good performance, no fault to him, but it's just, and then, I don't know, I feel like Tom Noonan had that stature. He wasn't so much a bodybuilder, he wasn't all that buff.
No.
But he was very tall, had very wide shoulders, and had this creepiness to him that was just, like, unfathomable. Like, just, like, it's terrifying. And especially when, in all the stories, he walks around with that, it's like a net, not a stocking, but like a netting of some kind over his face.
Yeah.
He always leaves it covering half his face, just below his nose. So, and that's just how he walks around. That's when he's the dragon.
Yeah, I told you the one shot that really stands out to me in Manhunter was when he's got Reva at the end, and he's just kind of stalking back and forth across the room, pacing back and forth. Something so creepy about that to me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Reva in a second too. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, it's pretty nuts, just like the differences. The guy that played him in Red Dragon, I am blanking on his name.
Richard Armitage.
Oh, Richard, yeah, there you go, thank you.
I think I'm pronouncing his last name right.
Yeah, he played Francis Dollarhide in the Hannibal series. I think he was great. I think he was pretty good. Like, he is tall. He definitely makes Will Graham look very tiny in their confrontational moments. When he
tosses him like a rag doll.
Yeah, he's not like super built, but he's definitely got a muscular frame. And I don't know, like his body does portray what the character is. And he had his moments of being like with his love interest, which is again in all the stories, Reba, who's a blind woman who ends up falling in love and is attracted to Francis Hyde because he's quiet and apparently a kindred spirit, as Reba takes it.
There is so much projecting on her part.
Yeah.
All he is a creeper who barely speaks, and she's just like, oh, so romantic.
She's just what's interesting is she's so forward.
Oh, she's super forward.
In all the versions in the book and everything, she just I don't know, she wants his dick, She
really does. I'm thinking it's been a while for her.
Yeah, she wants to tap that ass.
All up on that, yeah.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, she's blind, so people are always feel sorry for her, always imagine, she's...
That's true. She did say she liked that about him, that she didn't feel pity from him.
Yeah, he didn't, treat her like she had a disability.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know you have a disability. You had soft palate repair, apparently, but you speak fine, I understand you fine. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to worry about... I know what it's like to... feel like the monster in the room. I know what it's feel like a weirdo.
Right.
Or to be an outcast. So I understand, And I just think that, I guess it's understanding why a woman would always tell someone to want that or respect that or be attracted to that. But, just unfortunately for her, she chooses the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... I don't know where I was going with this here. I'm blanking out here all of a sudden.
It's okay. She's not the most interesting of characters to me, though. I guess what you described,
mm-hmm.
why she'd be attracted to him, it makes sense. I just didn't find her that compelling, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for her at the end, but, I don't know. I just didn't connect with her on a level where it's oh gosh, I hope nothing bad happens to her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
you
don't
got
know.
different actresses playing the Reba character. You have,
Emily Watson.
Emily Watson playing the Red Dragon.
Yeah.
And is it Joan Crawford? Not Joan Crawford.
Joan Crawford.
Oh my God, I am so tired. It's a Joan. God,
I'm not sure.
I'm blanking on her name. I need to. I'll look it up right now. But I know that on the show you have Rootney Wesley playing Reba, so it was different. I mean, they didn't they didn't have to, she's always white, but they made her a black girl in this, which I have no problem with. Never heard any complaints about it, but she was good. Rutina Wesley played her. You'll know her from True Blood. She played Tara.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's who plays her.
I've only seen a couple episodes of True Blood, but I remember that character. I didn't put it together.
Yeah, so, she's really good in it. She plays a very sweet character, but again, she is also very, very forward. She wants that dick. She wants that D. She wants that dollar Hyde.
Yeah.
She wants Hyde's dollar. She wants to know why they call him the Tooth Fairy.
She wants Dollars Hyde.
She wants Dollars Hyde. Yeah. So, Joan Allen.
Okay.
Okay, I knew it was a Joan. I had that written down, but I couldn't find it in my notes here. So Joan Allen plays Reba in Manhunter. It's fascinating. Just, I don't know, just how different it is. It all equals the same of... Actually, it's different with Reba in Manhunter because in all the versions, Francis Hyde fakes his death in front of Reba. Mm-hmm. In both Hannibal the series and Red Dragon.
Yeah.
He lights the house on fire, and then says he shoots himself, pretends to shoot himself, and blood splatters on her face.
Yeah.
It's oh God. In Manhunter, he just has her captive. Will Graham finds out who he is and just goes to his house.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very different. The climaxes are extremely different. He's got a minor showdown / shootout with Francis Hyde in Manhunter, which isn't as climactic, as exciting as the Red Dragon.
Right, where he comes to their house at the end.
Yeah, where he pops up at their house.
Yeah.
Now, that's something else I want to talk about. I want to talk about the letter. It's slightly different in Hannibal, but in both Manhunter and Red Dragon, Hannibal at one point receives a letter from the Tooth Fairy. They find it in a cell, it's written on toilet paper. It's hidden in the toilet paper roll. They find it while cleaning the cell, and okay, we got to figure out what to do. And part of the letter's missing, trying to figure out how to communicate with him. Turns out, they want Hannibal to respond through the personal column in the Tatler newspaper. Mm-hmm. So but it's a book code. It's like, I remember it says, "Dear Pilgrim, you are beautiful. You honor me." And Pilgrim, that's the key word because Hannibal refers to the Red Dragon or Tooth Fairy as Pilgrim when they're talking in all the versions, even the series. He refers to him as a Pilgrim. Don't know why, but anyway. But that's how they identify. Like that's him. That's who Hannibal's writing to is, Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
She calls him Pilgrim. He says, "You honor me. Seek safety and 100 prayers for your safety in Galatians 12 and this, that, and the other," and like gives out a book code. And they know it's not the Bible because apparently Galatians only has 10 instead of 12 or something like chapters, something like that. Forget. And so basically it's a book code, and the book code turns out to be a message that says literally this: Graham Home, Marathon, Florida. Save yourself, kill them all. Which
in the show he just flat out says that to him on the phone.
Yeah, he just flat out tells him, yeah.
Because, Hannibal's got different motivations on the show.
On the show, it's interesting. There's no letter. All it is Francis Ellerhide breaks into Hannibal's old office, hacks into the phone line, and is able to call him directly, pretending to be his lawyer. And Hannibal has privacy with the phone line, and you find out Francis Ellerhide's been calling him, posing as his lawyer, and they just talk on the phone. Mm-hmm. And he just tells him he tells him where he lives because he figures out where Will lives, and sends Dollarhide after him. Now, in both Manhunter and Red Dragon, that does happen where he sends them the warning, but they're able to get Molly and the son out before anything happens to them, so they're perfectly safe. In Red Dragon, though, and in the book, Francis Ellerhide does fake his death and then ends up showing up at their house.
Okay.
The outcome is very different from the book. I don't really remember clearly how it ends, but I know for a fact it doesn't end the way Red Dragon does, which I think is really good. I like Red Dragon's ending the best out of all of them. Mm-hmm. Because he shows up at their house. It's really scary and surprising. And then there's like a quick shootout fight between Will Graham and Francis Ellerhide that's just well done. It could have been done better, but it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
I just dug the climax. It's like puts you at the edge of your seat for like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it does.
I dig it. Now in Hannibal, the series, Francis Ellerhide gets the address and goes after Molly and his son, and they live in a cabin in the snow. They don't live in Florida. This is
right,
another
they live
difference.
In the middle of the woods.
They live in the middle of the woods somewhere on the East Coast. So, yeah, Francis Ellerhide is ready as a dragon with his gun, and it just ends up going up to that cabin and starts going after them, mm-hmm. which is really intense. He nearly gets them, too. It's a really quick game of cat and mouse. They manage to get away. They flag down a car on the road. The driver gets out, and then Dollarhide shoots the driver, so Molly gets in the driver's seat, puts her son in the back seat. They drive off, and then and he's just firing as they're driving, and she ends up getting shot.
Yeah.
And it's not a fatal wound, and they end up making it to the hospital, and they're okay. But it's like a really close call.
Yeah,
it's really intense. It's really well shot, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
But, see, that's another thing about Hannibal. The wife and stepson in that version is just so rushed.
Yeah.
They're a thing for like 3 episodes. And they're not even in the last 2, or they're referenced, but it's just kind of like, oh, why'd you bother? Just because it's in the book?
Yeah.
But that's just me.
So, let's talk about your favorite character, Jack Crawford.
He's not my favorite character. He's just played by one of my favorite actors in Red Dragon, that's all.
So this role has been played by 4 different actors. Mm-hmm. You have Dennis Farina playing him in Manhunter. You have Scott Glenn, the great Scott Glenn, playing him in Silence of the Lambs. You get Harvey Keitel playing him in Red Dragon. Shut up. You get Harvey Keitel playing him in Red Dragon. And then you have Lawrence Fishburne playing him in the Hannibal series, which is interesting. That was the kind of left field choice. Not that it's a bad choice. It was just...
No.
Didn't expect it. I'm like, oh, cool. Lawrence Fishburne's going to play Jack Crawford. I'm down.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. That's a good casting choice. So, for the most part, they all seem to be the same. And they have the same agenda, with the exception of, it gets, obviously, we spent 3 seasons getting to know Jack Crawford, and he's a little reckless.
He's a little reckless, he's a little dense.
Yeah.
He's a little selfish.
Yeah, because he just keeps pushing Will Graham, who's obviously getting very mentally unstable doing his profiling.
Will completely falls apart in season 1.
Yeah. And Jack just keeps pushing, like, come on, need you to do your thing. And then later, it's like, you're pushing him too hard. It's like, no, I'm not. He needs to help us. Then later, you needed him to do this. I pushed him too hard.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, get your story straight.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that was kind of like one of my annoyances with the character on the show, was he was he was very back and forth.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I can't blame him for that. You can't, I mean, it is the writer's fault for the most part. But, I mean, it wasn't completely awful. It just felt a little, reckless.
Yeah, like I said, he frustrated me with his, just the way he couldn't see certain things,
And it was obvious at one point that Hannibal was, like, guilty and a killer, because there were too many coincidences around him.
Right.
And Will knew it from moment one, practically. He was the first one to get on to him.
No one listened to him, of course.
Yeah, and everyone just thought he was, and Jack's like, stop it, Will.
Right, and and that, I just lost my train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll think of it.
But, it's a lot of back and forth. Now, Harvey Keitel plays it pretty straight and does well, like, just with, he plays the role the way it should be played, which is just, he does his job, and there's not really a lot of personality to his character.
No, not really.
And it could have easily been anyone playing that role, but there's something about Harvey Keitel's, like, way of, like, just carrying a character like that, a grounded character.
He's a pretty commanding presence, I think, on screen.
Just kind of like Michael Keaton and Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
Anyone could have played Ray Nicolette, the character he plays. But they have presence, and they bring something to it.
Right.
Harvey Keitel, same thing. Like, anyone could have played that role. It was kind of a throwaway role, really, but it was necessary to the movie.
But and
he's got presence.
Yeah, he brought something a little extra to it that could have been missing with someone else.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Scott Glenn, I mean, same thing. Same thing that Harvey Keitel. He's got a style. He's got a presence. He's a bit charismatic. Mm-hmm. And, he plays it well. He plays the role well. Dennis Farina, you gotta say the same thing.
Yeah.
In Manhunter, like, there's nothing special about the role. There's nothing special about his character and what he does with the character.
Right, I mean, it's just like the boss role.
Yeah.
Cop boss.
But he does it, like, I could see him doing it, like, I believe him. What helps is Dennis Farina is also a former Chicago PD cop.
I'm sure that definitely helps, yeah.
I mean, so he's got that, investigative authority figure down.
Right, I know what I was gonna say.
Yes.
So, Hannibal in this series frames two people to get suspicion off of him.
Oh, it's a Chesapeake Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, and then later Chilton.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, did he have a third person in place? Because I feel like sooner or later people are going to be like, everyone knows you who's supposedly guilty, and I just want how many contingency plans did you have set up?
Right. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. That's a really good point.
Especially for a guy who ends up turning himself in.
That's true.
Yeah.
But he only does it for Will, I want to talk about the differences in performance of Hannibal than Will. Then we're going to close up with the phenomenon of shipping.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Which I'm going to let you cover, because I feel like I've talked the majority of this episode. But in fairness, you're taking care of Dominic right now.
That's right.
So, so I want to talk about Will Graham real quick. So we got William Peterson playing him in Manhunter. You got Hugh Dancy playing him on the show. Mm-hmm. And you got Edward Norton playing him in Red Dragon.
Yes.
Now, William Peterson is hit and miss, I think. It's a good performance overall.
In the movie or in everything?
In the movie Manhunter.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's a good performance overall. I do like William Peterson. I mean, I had my CSI page. I was a huge CSI fan.
I've never watched CSI.
Oh, Grissom, man. Grissom was the head of the CSI team. He was the shit.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard.
But, just something that, it was very kind of dry, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And, he just plays it very matter-of-factly, which works to an extent, because that's very Michael Mann. That's Michael Mann's style. To play things dry and just play them straight. There's no real personality. So it's very dry. So that's the thing that I don't like about William Peterson's Will Graham. Yeah,
you don't really get, or at least I didn't get really drawn into him as a character.
Yeah. Now, Edward Norton, he plays it straight for the most part. And it's all, everything that's going on with Edward Norton in Red Dragon is all inside of his head. So it's just him reacting, and just a lot of him, being quiet and just thinking, and trying to be analytical of everything, and is very analytical, but silently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's kind of intriguing about his Will Graham, is just kind of like the way he kind of just looks at things. He'll say a couple things to himself, like, "Why did you put mirrors in their eyes?" Like, that kind of thing.
He thinks very quickly on his feet. I like that about
Yeah,
him,
that's
too.
another thing. And the thing is, between him and William Peterson, they're probably the best field agents. Because they are FBI, they're trained with a gun
true,
and everything.
yeah.
Now Hugh Dancy's Will Graham is never officially an FBI agent. He's not a field agent. He barely passed field training. He is an instructor at Quantico for behavioral sciences. Mm-hmm. But he ends up being drawn in as a profiler.
He's not a fighter. He's not a good fighter.
Like, he is the weakest of the three. The three
Oh,
adaptations.
absolutely.
That's not his fault.
He suffers traumatic injuries.
Yeah.
At least once a season.
Yeah, so he's extremely neurotic. Mm-hmm. He's very much an introvert.
He's fragile.
He's very fragile.
Yeah.
But he is dangerous in the sense that he can pick anyone apart and figure them out very quickly.
He's very intelligent, and he definitely has a dark side to him.
Yeah, extremely dark side
that can be exploited as we've seen.
Yeah, and I love his process. Like, you get to really see his process for putting together a crime scene and figuring out a murder. And it's fucking fascinating, and he does it really well. Mm-hmm. I don't really like how neurotic they made him, because he freaks out a lot. He's like, I can't do this anymore.
Especially in the first season, yeah.
It's just, like, it gets really tiring. That's the one annoyance I get. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I mean, his performance is top-notch, and it's just fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I really like his performance. Mm-hmm. And, it's a little hard to compare the TV performance to a movie performance, because you've got, like,
so much more
time to develop the characters on a show, and, like, much more. You feel like Will more.
The character's really fleshed out in the series Hannibal. Mm-hmm. But even then, like I said, like, there is more there's more going on with Edward Norton's character. Yeah. Edward Norton's portrayal in Red Dragon. I think it's just the way it's written. You know?
I like that Will is more flawed on the show, because he's pretty much kind of like Super Cop in the movies,
Yeah, it's true.
And he's not like, he's got his mind on the show, but not so much
especially Manhunter.
else.
Like, Manhunter is very much that flash the badge. He literally jumps through the window of Francis Allerheid's house with a gun, firing a gun. It's very action movie-ish, and I don't think that works for the material. But I mean, like I said, I do love Manhunter. I think it's an awesome movie.
Yeah.
And it works for what it is. But in terms of, like, seeing what the material is and knowing what it can be, I think the Hannibal series probably nailed the Red Dragon saga the best, I feel. Mm-hmm. But like I said, Red Dragon did get some things right. And then Manhunter's tone gets it right.
Yeah.
So you can pick and choose. Like, the annoyances from certain characters or certain things are better in Manhunter, but then the lack of style in Red Dragon is executed much better in Hannibal and the series. But then the Francis Dollarhide in Manhunter is better than, I don't know. It's like you gotta pick and choose.
Right.
But all across the board there are great things, but all across the board there are things that are yeah. But it's just you pick and choose. So now I want to talk about Hannibal real quick himself, the Hannibal Lecter character. Mm-hmm. So you get Brian Cox playing him in Manhunter. You get Anthony Hopkins, the great Anthony Hopkins, who won an Academy Award for playing Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
Playing him in Red Dragon. So obviously there's no contest there. And then you have the Hannibal series, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Who, I mean, I was not sure could play the role, because I knew him at first from playing the chief, the villain from Casino Royale.
Yeah, me too.
The guy with the scar on his eye.
Blood tears.
So I'm like, he doesn't seem very charismatic. He doesn't seem, I don't know. Then I saw these Norwegian films called Pusher, the Pusher trilogy. They're crime dramas. Mm-hmm. And he's a main character of the second part. He's a bit part in the first movie and the main character of the second movie in the Pusher trilogy. And he's fascinating. Completely different completely different role, a very dramatic role. He's like a bald-headed drug addict who his family's all on drugs, and he's like, like a lackey trying to make his way to the top, but then realizes this might not be the best thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually has a son he doesn't know, like an infant son he doesn't know about. So at the end of the movie, he kind of like steals his son away and then gets away from the life. And, it's like a very different kind of role. And it's like really good, really transformative role for him. And so finding out he was playing Dr. Hannibal, I was like, I don't know if he's going to, how he's going to pull off. Because he wasn't like, there was no obvious choice, I think.
No, I don't think so.
Because even at and when they were making Red Dragon, I remember reading online, they were contemplating recasting the role. Like, not Anthony Hopkins, we're going to get Jude Law, or use CGI to alter the face of the actor, or whatever. Like, there were all these different things that were going around or floating around. Who knows if they were true?
Right.
But at one point, they were legitimately saying they weren't going to cast Anthony Hopkins at one point.
I don't know if he would do a good job, but I could see giving Jude Law a shot at it.
I always thought that was a weird, interesting choice.
Yeah.
But
I could see that maybe working, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Anthony Hopkins is fine. Obviously, he's older, so, you
right, so
you gotta use your imagination a little bit.
To pretend it's a prequel.
Yeah, you have to use your imagination a little bit. But I think Anthony Hopkins' performance is iconic.
Everyone knows
such
it.
a huge part of cinema and cinema history, and
you probably know it even if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which he made up, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think Jonathan Demme asked him. I think when they were filming, he's like, "So where do you want to be when Clarice comes to you in the cell? Should you be sitting over here?" He's like, "No, I want to be standing in the middle of the room."
Yeah.
It's like, really? Why? He's like, "Because I smell her." I was like, whoa, creepy. And then I guess he said he was messing around in the middle of a take. He did like, "Hey, just like with fava beans, a nice bit of candy." Like he made that up on the spot to be a joke, and I said, no, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I guess he just has a way, because he's Jonathan Demme has him looking straight into the camera. It's like crazy ass terrifying, because it feels like he's staring at you. Seeing that movie on the big screen, you feel like he's staring at you.
I bet. Well, that scene
so
between it just keeps cutting. They're both staring. It's
directly into the camera.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's so intense because he can't hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
All they're doing is talking, but it's so intense. You're like, your heart's pounding the first time you see it.
Yeah.
Every time they're talking.
Yeah, it's a different level of creepiness when you see it on the big screen. It's something else.
I bet. I wish I could have seen it on the
big
screen.
We will at some point. I'm sure they'll do it somewhere.
Yeah.
So Brian Cox, I mean, like I said, he plays it very dry, the Michael Mann way.
Yes.
But he does, like I said earlier in this episode, he does the lower jaw, wide-eyed stare a little bit, but not trying to breathe into your soul. He's just being creepy.
Yeah, he feels...
he's not as cinematic, but he's still doing the same kind of
Right.
gestures.
It feels more real, like a real person, I guess, to me.
Yes.
Brian Cox's performance does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't do anything, super crazy. He doesn't try to, lunge at will or make any weird, creepy noises.
No.
And then something, I guess you got to consider this, too. Hannibal Lecter will act very differently towards Will Graham than he will towards Clarice Starling.
Yeah.
Because with Will Graham, there is as much of as an admiration as an animosity, because I admire you because of what your ability is. I admire you because you're smart and you're cunning and you get it.
Mm-hmm.
I despise the shit out of you because you caught me.
Yeah.
And you put me in this prison.
Yeah.
So there's both an equal animosity and, admiration.
Mm-hmm.
However, Hannibal, Mads Mikkelsen, he plays a very charismatic and sophisticated Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
It's done so well. His performance is great. The writing is great. His character is very fleshed out and, no pun intended, and done perfectly well. I have no
evil.
real complaints about how evil he is and how diabolic he is. It's great. And even when he's behind the glass in season 3,
mm-hmm.
and he's finally captured and a patient, he does have a little bit of that where he hardly blinks.
Yeah.
He just stares straight through and but he's just evil.
He's terrible. The things he does throughout the show. And And like even when he's caught by like Mason Verger and for all he knows is about to be slowly eaten over months,
he doesn't panic.
He doesn't. No, he's completely calm. If anything, he's a little amused.
Anthony Hopkins is the same exact way when he gets captured in
in Hannibal.
In him. One thing I want to say is like all those little nods to all the other movies. There are bits of dialogue sprinkled throughout.
Yeah.
From both Hannibal the movie and Red Dragon and Manhunter.
Yeah.
They're sprinkled all throughout the Hannibal series.
Yeah.
All 3 seasons. Like, Dr. Chilton, he fumbles at your head like a freshman pulling on a panty girdle.
And that's the same atrocious aftershave.
That's the same atrocious aftershave you wore in court. Yeah, there's all those little lines there. Do you dream much, Will? Have you ever seen Blood in the Moonlight? It appears quite black.
Yeah.
There's the Pilgrim line. All those things like that. It was just like, oh, great. I had a thought right now, and I totally blanked out on what I was going to say.
We're blanking out a lot here.
Yeah, well, we're almost out of time anyway.
Yeah.
But,
I like Mads Mikkelsen's performance. It's hard to say. I guess it's the only way to put it, though. He has more emotion in him than the others, just by nature of the show and his relationship with Will.
He's fleshed out so much.
Yeah, but even in that emotion that he feels for Will, he's not above. He'll still kill him if the mood strikes him. You know what I mean? He almost does a couple of times, and only gets stopped by like outside forces. Yeah, which I think is interesting.
This is a side note before we close off. I did want to talk. I didn't think we were going to have enough time to talk about this. I just want to mention it real quick. I really love the Mason Verger character. Gary Oldman played Mason Verger in the Hannibal film, and he's great. With that makeup and everything, it's awesome. Unrecognizable. You don't know it's him until you even look at the credits.
Right.
He's not in the opening credits either.
Oh, nice.
So you don't know it's him until much later, unless you're like really breathe into it and do your research.
Right.
In the show, it's Michael Pitt playing him.
In season 2.
In season 2.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't have a different actor in season 3. Michael Pitt didn't want to come back because apparently he's a douche. But, yeah, Michael Pitt is great as Mason Verger.
He really was, yeah. Very despicable.
Yeah.
A character so despicable, you're on Hannibal's side.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very much. And also one of the favorite things about Will Graham, too, I'm going to jump back to Will Graham for like half a second. He loves dogs.
I know, I love that about him.
He's not a people person, but he adopts dogs and has like 12 dogs.
I know. I love that. I think it was the mechanical killer person where his dog gets out and he runs out to save his little dog. It's so cute.
Then he's like running with his dog in his arms.
I know.
As the creature's chasing him. It's like, oh, I love that episode.
Oh, and he just ends that guy like, you did not mess with my dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love it. So sweet.
Yeah, so we're going to start winding down here as we come to the ending of our episode about Red Hannah Manhunter.
Red Hannah Hunter.
Red Hannah Hunter.
Yeah.
Red Hunter.
Red Hunter.
So, I mean, basically, the show, the one thing that I guess the power of the fans, the Fannibals, had an overwhelming love for the show, and they were so heartbroken when the show ended. I mean, I'm a Fannibal, I will say, because I watched it while it was on, and I loved it, and I was really bummed out when it ended. I couldn't imagine where it could go after it did end, but apparently they want more, and they want to bring it back for a 4th season. But somehow, and I think, alright, I'm a fan, but then there's like ultimate fandom, this level of intimacy with fandom that I didn't know about, and something called shipping, which again,
I didn't know what shipping was at all.
I didn't. I guess. I mean, I'm just a fan of I'm an ultra fan of things, but I don't get into like fan fiction and fictional lore and all that kind of stuff. And shipping, that's a whole other community. That
I read tons of fan fiction.
I know you do. I just never got into that, so I don't know much about it. So, but I mean. You want to talk about it because you did a little bit of research on the aspect of shipping for this, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Will and Hannibal's relationship is much, much different on the show than it is in the movies, which is...
And the book.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would assume so.
Let's say it lightly.
It also adds another layer to the Red Dragon series and the ending of the show. It's something that they actually go for. Like, it's pretty canon that Hannibal's just in love with Will in an extremely twisted and horrible way.
Did you just smell me? Hard to resist with.
And Will's feelings towards Hannibal are also very, very conflicted. I don't think I would say he's in love with him the way Hannibal's in love with Will. Mm-hmm. But he's tempted by him.
He wants that dick.
Well, because he outright says to Jack, because he did warn Hannibal at the end of season 2.
Yeah, he's like, Hannibal thinks you're his man.
I think you're mine.
I think you're my man. It's like, well, okay, calm down, guys.
He says, when Jack's like, why did you do that? And he's like, because it was like, I was undecided until I heard his voice, which is already like, dude, really? He's like, oh, how did he put it? He's like, because I wanted him to run, because I wanted to run with him. You're like, oh, good God, Will.
Yeah.
And at the end, and Hannibal allows himself to be caught. Will doesn't catch him.
Yeah.
Will basically breaks up with him, which I guess hurts Hannibal's feelings enough to allow himself to be caught, so Will always knows where he is, because Will basically said, I don't want to know where you are. I'm not going to think about you again. So he does that so Will always knows.
Yeah,
you know?
He tells him, he's like, so like, you're really giving yourself up? He's like, I just want to know where I'll be.
Yeah. And at the end, Will kind of embraces what Hannibal's wanted, because when they killed Dollarhide together...
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Dollarhide's demise and Hannibal yet, but go ahead and cover that.
Yeah, they kill Dollarhide together. They kind of lure him to this house on a bluff. He injures both of them pretty badly, but they tag team him and take him out, and...
They both take turns biting him.
Yeah, and then they just embrace, and Hannibal's...
Literally.
Yeah, and Hannibal's like... This is what I've always wanted for you, which, okay. And then Will's like, it's beautiful. And then he kind of...
Will pulls them both off the cliff.
Yeah, Will tips them over a cliff. Like, alrighty, that's some tragic love story stuff right there.
Which is interesting because it's like, I mean, I don't know where it came from. If it was always supposed to end up going that way, where Hannibal was in love with Will.
I don't think it was.
It somehow happened. And I'm like, I was wondering, like, is it the fans? Did they ship them? And did Brian Fuller take that to heart, the showrunner? Did he take it to heart and be like, well, fuck it, let's go with it?
That might have had something to do with it, but this is something, and I told you about this earlier, this is something that's usually called queerbaiting, which most shows do, because if a popular show has got 2 male characters, they will be shipped. I can guarantee you that.
See, I didn't know about this.
I promise you that is the case in most shows. People will find just any reason to ship 2 guys, especially 2 white guys. Trust me. So, and normally a show creator is aware of this. It's become more mainstream, I guess, in recent years, and he will cater to them in the sense that he'll do jokey things, like have somebody mistake them for a couple on the show, and that's funny because obviously no homo. They'll do stuff like that because they don't want to lose their sweet demographic, you know? So they won't actually put them together. They'll just toy with the fans who want them together. This is an extremely common practice among shows.
So is this something that they did in the show? Because now that you've seen the whole show.
No, I would say this is not queerbaiting. I would say this is legit.
Oh, shit.
I would. I mean, he said... They pretty much confirmed Hannibal loves Will, you know? And Will feels something for Hannibal, so I would call this legit. I would say this might be the only time I've seen them actually go there when it wasn't intended to be there at the start, you know what I mean? Like when they didn't already start off.
Well, you got, and who we haven't talked about is Gillian Anderson, who's on the show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, who is Lecter's former, was a colleague and Lecter's former psychologist, and at one point, kind of love interest.
Yeah,
I mean, they run away together.
Criminal wife.
Yeah, they run away together in season 3. They're in Italy.
She's so great. She's so poised all the time.
So there's that great moment. Is it the second to last episode or last episode of the series, season 3, where she's like, but you know, if Hannibal wanted you, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. He's like, does Hannibal love me? And then she says, but does one gain the very nourishment at the sight of he?
Yeah,
like that. I'm like, whoa.
It's such a sick relationship, but I do love the way she said that. She's like, does he gain nourishment at just the sight of you? Yes. Like, wow, that's really romantic.
And she's so creepy. Like, she's almost like a female Hannibal Lecter.
She's very scary.
Like,
you could see her flipping.
She's very calm and proper. Never does anything violent. She does not do one violent act in the show.
Oh,
really?
She killed Zachary Quinto.
Oh, that's right, she did. My bad. Never mind.
But besides that...
She did, yeah. Zachary Quinto guest stars as as a patient that apparently she murders. Mm-hmm. And Hannibal helps her take care of it. Like, I can help you, but you need to ask me to.
Yeah.
You know. But, I don't know, I had this habit of, like, totally riffing on the show while we were watching it, just saying, like, you know, dirty homosexual limericks. Like,
well, we couldn't help it when they were delivering them to us, basically.
My favorite bit is probably in season 1 where Will's in Hannibal's office and, like, he's, like, Will's looking at something and Hannibal's behind him goes... and then, like, you see him, he gets off on it, like, he just, like, Hannibal just closes his eyes, like,
right?
And then
like, that's
Will senses, like, did you just smell me? He's like, what is this? What's that aftershave?
Yeah.
I must introduce you to something better for your skin. I'm like, dude, I was like, yeah, that's something better for your skin, my dick.
Right. And just the caressing him at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
As he's stabbing him.
Yeah.
It's just...
metaphorical.
Yeah.
Pretend this is my cock sliding in, Will.
Right.
Like, it's just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And you know, not making fun of, like, you know, homosexuals or anything. It was just
no. We just like joking around with the show.
Yeah, it was just so out there sometimes. With like it's just so left field. I mean, just never would expect Hannibal Lecter and Will Graham to have that, especially with the history and the films and the book. It's like, well, they're in love now. Okay.
But by the time Will asked, "Is Hannibal in love with me?" You're like, you didn't realize this, really?
No fucking shit.
Really? It's like, what did you think?
Yeah.
So I give kudos to the show for going there. I really do, especially on NBC.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I gotta give shout out, man, because that show was so violent that you wouldn't be able to give half that shit into a rated PG-13 movie.
No.
So it was just like, ooh, damn. So, but
yeah, I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad I got to share that with you and we got to experience it because I watched it all myself while it was on, and
you're like, all by myself.
I hadn't watched it. I mean, I have the season. I have the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray, but I kind of watched them. I haven't watched anything in a long time, so it was kind of cool to revisit the whole series. And then I was like, oh, it's cool to watch Red Dragon and Manhunter again. We watched Manhunter while we were in the hospital with Dominic. Just, you know, because that's what you do. When your son's sleeping under medical care, you bring R-rated twisted movies and watch them in the hospital. In a children's hospital, nonetheless.
Pretty much, yeah.
But, you know, and so it was really cool to just kind of revisit Manhunter, which we now own, and then Red Dragon, and then the show. It was just kind of cool to watch all of that together and enjoy it and reflect. So, well, that's going to pretty much do it for this episode. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think we covered it all pretty well. It's, you know, Hannibal Lecter's a great character. And all the movies and that we've talked about here. And the show has done different things with him, and I've liked all of them. Yeah, me too, man. I really enjoyed it all. Overall, I think Hannibal series really nailed the Red Dragon Saga down to a T, and it was pretty well executed. Yeah. But like I said, there are things to pick and choose that are great in each Manhunter, Red Dragon, and the Hannibal series and Red Dragon arc that are pretty great. Yeah. Whether it's performances, vibes, set design, or music, whatever, there's something to pick and choose. None of them are awful, but none of them are perfect, but there's something great in all of them. So we really enjoy them. So that's what this show's about, man. We want to just sit in and relax. You can watch all 3 seasons of Hannibal at home if you'd like. They're all streaming on Amazon Prime. Silence of the Lambs, if you don't own it, I'm surprised you're listening to the show. I'd assume you would. Red Dragon, you can also probably get it on Amazon, or you could probably get it on Blu-ray for like $7 on Amazon. Probably. Which is what I did, I think. So. Silence of the Lambs used to be on Netflix, but you know, Netflix is. I think it's on Hulu now. Is it? Pretty sure it's on Hulu. Oh, okay. Manhunter, Scream Factory just about a 2-disc special edition about a year or 2 ago, so you can pick up that if you want to watch Manhunter again, and then there's tons of in-depth bonus features and documentaries and interviews and brand new commentaries. So if you're really into Manhunter, check out Scream Factory's re-release of the Blu-ray Manhunter.
And that's gonna pretty much do it for this week. This is our we're pretty much back, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
We're getting into a groove
we're,
here.
We're getting into a groove. This is a kind of a new. We did more research than we normally do, so we're not babbling so much off our ass like we usually do. So I mean, we're trying to also redefine ourselves as parents, but we're also trying to bring the show back because I think there was a bit of a wonder of, are we going to keep doing this? And
yeah,
well, a few of you that are listening and are responding to us are digging what you're hearing, so we want to improve the show and make it better. And like I said, we're going to upgrade. We're going to get some better sound equipment, and we're going to make this a better show. And
it'll probably be a couple months though.
yeah, we get on iTunes. Yeah, we're gonna keep going, guys. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. And we'll be back hopefully next week with a brand new topic and more trivia and more shit to shoot. I guess. All right, guys. You have a great week. Bon appetit.
Bye.